I am recording this conversation as my next video, and I feel like things that driving me, I feel like talking about things that drive me, and they feel like somehow bigger than me. So let's talk about core values for us as human beings. What are they? Why are they important? Why are they called core values?
Core values are the guiding principles that shape who we are and how we live. They represent the deep-seated beliefs that anchor us in a chaotic world, acting as our moral compass and emotional foundation. Core values are called core because they are central to our identity. They don't change easily and tend to guide our decisions, relationships, and purpose. Why are they important? They provide clarity and alignment in our lives. When you live according to your core values, you feel grounded, authentic, and purposeful. They help you navigate complex situations and resist pressures that might lead you astray. They also foster connection, allowing others to trust and resonate with you because you're coming from a place of integrity. Some universal core values include compassion, honesty, freedom, love, respect, and growth. However, their significance varies based on the individual and their lived experiences. These values are bigger than us because they transcend the immediate self. They connect us to the collective human experience, shaping how we contribute to society and how we create meaning in our lives. Core values remind us of what matters most when we strip away the noise. They help us stand firm in the face of uncertainty, reminding us not just who we are, but who we aspire to be.
For example, can you identify empathy as a core value and expand on it with examples?
Empathy is a profound core value because it bridges the gap between people, fostering understanding and connection. At its essence, empathy is the ability to deeply sense, feel, and understand another person's emotions or experiences as if they were your own. It's what makes us human. It's the foundation for compassion, kindness, and solidarity. Why is empathy a core value? It creates harmony and trust in relationships. When you empathize, you show others they are seen, heard, and valued. This value transcends personal gain. It nurtures collective well-being. Empathy also helps us make better decisions, especially in moral or ethical dilemmas, because it centers others' needs and perspectives. For example, 1. Personal relationships. When a loved one is upset, empathy moves you to listen without judgment, offering comfort rather than solutions. It's not about fixing their problem, but about being there with them. 2. In society, empathy is what drives movements for social justice. When people witness injustice, those with empathy feel compelled to stand up because they sense the suffering of others. Think of efforts to combat racism or poverty. These are rooted in an empathic connection to those who are marginalized. 3. In leadership, a leader who values empathy listens to their team, considers diverse perspectives, and builds an inclusive environment. This fosters loyalty, innovation, and respect. Empathy as a core value also enhances self-awareness. When you deeply connect with others, you start to better understand yourself. You recognize shared vulnerabilities and strengths, reinforcing a sense of interconnectedness. However, empathy must be balanced. Overextending it can lead to emotional exhaustion or burnout, especially if you constantly absorb others' pain. That's why pairing empathy with boundaries and self-care is vital. In short, empathy is a transformative value. It turns individual pain into shared understanding and individual joy into collective celebration, creating a ripple effect of human connection.
Can you talk about empathy and like as a core value in the context of cultures?
Empathy as a core value in the context of culture is transformative. It shapes how societies function, evolve, and connect. Cultures that prioritize empathy create environments where people feel seen, respected, and valued, fostering unity and collaboration across differences. Empathy's role in cultural harmony. Empathy bridges divides in multicultural societies by encouraging people to understand others' perspectives, histories, and emotions. For instance, in diverse communities, empathy helps mitigate prejudice by fostering genuine curiosity about others' experiences. It nurtures inclusion, ensuring that marginalized voices are heard and validated. Cultural practices rooted in empathy. Many cultural traditions emphasize empathy as a guiding principle. Hospitality customs in Middle Eastern and Asian cultures, for example, reflect deep empathy through care for strangers and guests. Indigenous practices often prioritize communal well-being over individual gain, a reflection of empathic values embedded in their cultural systems. Empathy in globalization. In an interconnected world, empathy becomes crucial for global collaboration. It allows individuals from vastly different cultures to navigate misunderstandings and find common ground. Without empathy, cultural exchanges risk devolving into exploitation or appropriation rather than mutual respect and learning. Challenges to empathy in culture. Empathy can be suppressed by fear, stereotypes, or structural inequalities within a culture. Systems that prioritize competition or individualism may undervalue collective well-being, making it harder to practice empathy. Historical traumas, such as colonialism or systemic oppression, can create divides that require deliberate empathic efforts to heal. Cultivating empathy across cultures. 1. Education. Teaching history, literature, and arts from diverse perspectives fosters empathy by exposing people to others' lived experiences. 2. Storytelling. Sharing personal or community narratives creates emotional resonance, helping people understand cultural differences without judgment. 3. Policy. Governments can embed empathy into cultural frameworks through policies that promote equality, inclusion, and justice. Empathy's cultural impact. Cultures built on empathy tend to be more innovative and resilient. By valuing human connection, they cultivate environments where creativity thrives and conflicts are approached constructively. Empathy in culture isn't just an ideal, it's a practical necessity for sustainable progress.
Can you give me several examples about the things that you just said and also ground what you're saying in like human facts, statistics, numbers, and say how did you come.
Examples of empathy in culture and its impact. 1. Hospitality in Middle Eastern cultures. In many Middle Eastern countries, the cultural norm of hospitality, such as offering food, shelter, and care to guests, reflects deep-rooted empathy. It builds trust and social bonds in communities where family and neighborly ties are central. Human fact, hospitality is linked to oxytocin release, a hormone associated with bonding. Studies show that practicing generosity and empathy can reduce stress and increase happiness within communities. 2. Education and empathy development. Finland's education system emphasizes emotional intelligence and collaboration over competition. Students are taught to respect others' perspectives and work together from a young age. Statistic. According to the World Economic Forum, Finland consistently ranks among the happiest countries globally, partly due to its educational focus on empathy and social well-being. 3. Empathy in conflict resolution. Post-apartheid South Africa implemented the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, focusing on restorative justice rather than retributive justice. The TRC encouraged victims and perpetrators to share their experiences, fostering healing through empathic understanding. Result, while not perfect, the TRC contributed to a relatively peaceful transition, avoiding large-scale retaliation or civil war. 4. Empathy in social policy. Scandinavian countries like Sweden and Denmark invest heavily in social safety nets, ensuring healthcare, education, and unemployment benefits for all citizens. Statistic. These countries consistently rank high on the Global Peace Index and World Happiness Report. This reflects the societal empathy ingrained in their policies, reducing inequality and stress among citizens. 5. Empathy in storytelling. Films like Schindler's List or books like To Kill a Mockingbird create emotional connections with audiences, fostering awareness and empathy for historical and social injustices. Statistic. A study from Science, 2013, found that reading literary fiction improves empathy by engaging the brain's theory of mind network, helping people understand others' emotions and intentions. 6. Corporate empathy. Companies like Patagonia focus on sustainable practices, showing empathy for the environment and global communities. Statistic. A 2022 Harvard Business Review report found that businesses emphasizing social responsibility see increased employee satisfaction and consumer trust, proving empathy-driven policies benefit both people and profits. Grounding in science and numbers. 1. Neuroscience of empathy. Mirror neurons in the brain activate when we observe others' actions or emotions, enabling us to feel what others experience. This biological basis underpins empathy as a universal human trait. Human fact. A study published in Nature Neuroscience showed that people with higher empathy have stronger activation in their anterior cingulate cortex and insula, areas linked to emotional processing. 2. Empathy and cooperation. Research by Psychological Science 2011 shows that empathic individuals are more likely to engage in cooperative behaviors critical for societal harmony. Statistic. Societies with higher trust and cooperation levels, like Norway, have lower crime rates and higher economic stability. 3. Empathy and health. Practicing empathy has been linked to lower cortisol levels, stress hormone, and better cardiovascular health. Statistic. According to the American Psychological Association, compassionate acts, even small ones, can reduce anxiety by up to 23%. 4. Empathy and child development. Programs like Roots of Empathy, implemented in schools across Canada, teach children to identify and understand emotions. Result, a 2020 longitudinal study found that participants showed a 40% reduction in bullying behaviors and increased social competence. Conclusion. Empathy, when embedded in culture, education, policy, and daily interactions, creates ripple effects that enhance individual well-being, societal trust, and global cooperation. While it's challenging to measure empathy directly, its impacts are clear in reduced inequality, improved mental health, and stronger communal ties.
Okay, now give me the definition of empathy. What is empathy and how it works? Let's say between in a one-to-one interaction, and how it works in the brain, in the body, biologically, and between two human beings.
Definition of empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand, feel, and share another person's emotions, experiences, or perspectives. It involves recognizing and connecting to someone else's feelings without necessarily experiencing the same situation yourself. How empathy works in one-to-one interaction. 1. Cognitive empathy. You mentally understand another person's perspective. For example, if a friend is sad about a personal loss, you can imagine how it might feel to lose someone important, even if you haven't had the same experience. 2. Emotional empathy. You feel their emotions as if they are your own. If someone cries, you might feel a lump in your throat or a heavy heart. 3. Compassionate empathy. You take action to help or support them. For instance, comforting them with a hug or offering solutions if they seek advice. Empathy creates a loop between two people, where emotional signals are exchanged through nonverbal cues like tone of voice, body language, and facial expressions. This feedback reinforces connection and mutual understanding. How empathy works in the brain and body. 1. Mirror neurons. Located in the brain's premotor cortex and inferior parietal lobule, mirror neurons activate when you observe someone else's actions or emotions. This allows you to mirror their experience internally, forming the basis of emotional resonance. 2. Amygdala processes emotional signals like a distressed face or sad tone of voice and alerts the brain to respond. This is often the first trigger in empathetic reactions. 3. Prefrontal cortex governs higher level processing, such as understanding why someone feels the way they do. It's responsible for regulating your emotions so you can respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. 4. Insula registers bodily sensations like a knot in your stomach when you see someone in pain. It connects emotional and physical awareness. 5. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone released during empathetic interactions, strengthens trust and social bonds. For example, oxytocin levels rise when you comfort someone or share a vulnerable moment. Biologically, between two human beings. 1. Nonverbal communication. Micro-expressions, tiny involuntary facial expressions, convey emotions like sadness, joy, or anger. Your brain picks up on these cues even without conscious awareness. Body language, open posture, leaning in, signals attentiveness and creates a sense of safety. 2. Emotional contagion. You absorb the emotions of others through subconscious mimicry. For instance, if someone laughs, you may start smiling too, as their joy transfers to you. 3, heart rate synchronization. Studies show that during deep, empathetic connection, heart rates between two people can synchronize. This reflects shared emotional states. 4, stress reduction. When someone receives empathy, their cortisol levels, stress hormone, decrease. Similarly, showing empathy boosts serotonin and dopamine in the giver, creating mutual well-being. Empathy in action. For example, if a friend is upset, 1, your mirror neurons activate, reflecting their emotions within you. 2, the amygdala and insula process their distress, creating a visceral sense of urgency or sadness. 3, your prefrontal cortex evaluates how to best support them. 4, if you hug them, your bodies release oxytocin, reinforcing trust and calmness in both of you. Empathy is a powerful biological and emotional mechanism that strengthens human connections and fosters collective resilience.
How can we recognize or notice empathy, and how can we like signal it? How can we cultivate it, and how can we improve it?
Recognizing empathy. 1, verbal cues. Phrases like, I hear you, I understand how you feel, or that sounds really hard, signal someone's effort to connect with your emotions. 2, nonverbal cues. Genuine eye contact, nodding, leaning in, or mirroring someone's body language. 3, emotional responses. When someone tears up, smiles with you, or shows concern through facial expressions. 4, behavioral indicators. Acts of kindness, such as offering help or being patient during someone's emotional distress. Signaling empathy. 1, active listening. Maintain eye contact, avoid interruptions, and respond with validating comments like, that must have been difficult. 2, open body language. Relaxed posture, facing the person directly, and uncrossed arms signal openness. 3, tone of voice. A soft, warm tone conveys care and understanding. 4, reflective responses. Paraphrase their feelings. It sounds like you're overwhelmed with everything right now. 5, small gestures. A comforting touch, if appropriate, a supportive smile, or a gentle nod. Cultivating empathy. 1, practice self-awareness. Understand your own emotions and reactions. Journaling or mindfulness exercises can help. 2, expose yourself to diverse perspectives. Read stories, watch films, or talk to people from different backgrounds to broaden your understanding of human experiences. 3, spend time in nature. Natural settings promote reflection and connection, enhancing empathy toward others and the world. 4, foster meaningful relationships. Engage deeply with others by asking thoughtful questions and being fully present. 5, model empathy. When you show empathy, others are more likely to mirror and learn it. Improving empathy. 1, mindfulness practices. Regular meditation helps you stay present and tune into others' emotional states. 2, ask open-ended questions. Instead of giving advice, ask how to make you feel, or what do you need right now? 3, practice perspective taking. Consciously imagine yourself in someone else's shoes. For example, ask yourself how you'd feel if you were in their situation. 4, limit judgments. Recognize when you're making assumptions and consciously set them aside. Focus on understanding rather than evaluating. 5, be patient. Empathy takes time to grow. Practice regularly and forgive yourself when you miss the mark. 6, engage in active empathy exercises. Volunteer, join support groups, or engage in acts of service to practice empathetic behavior. By recognizing, signaling, cultivating, and improving empathy, you create stronger personal connections and contribute to a more compassionate world.
Okay, I think we're good. For ending and wrapping up, add anything you want to add, and also tell me, how would the world change if we all become just a little bit more empathic?
If we all became just a little more empathic, the world would shift profoundly. Conflicts would de-escalate as people began to genuinely listen and understand each other's perspectives. Relationships, whether personal, professional, or global, would strengthen, built on trust and compassion. Small acts of kindness would multiply, creating ripple effects of positivity in communities. Systems would adapt to prioritize well-being over profit or competition. Most importantly, empathy would foster a culture of care, where collective resilience emerges from shared understanding, not fear or division. It's not about perfection, just incremental changes that cascade into a more harmonious and humane world.